Hi everybody, welcome to Stuart's Kitchen again. Last time I filmed it in portrait mode because I get a better view of this. I'm trying out landscape just because the film snobs out there would rather have this look for the film people. Anyway, so last time I did Pie Day Friday or Friday Pie Day with bread on the end. Today I'm going to do pasta and see how kind of easy it is. I can do it in 20 minutes. But you're probably going to take you half an hour, maybe 40 minutes because you're not used to it. So let's go with the utensils first. Measuring tape, measuring teaspoons and such. Bowl, kind of medium size. I have a scale I'll probably use later. A fork. 2 tea towels. I got a wooden dowel. This is 15 centimeters, maybe a foot. I'm an old guy, so I go by foot or 15 centimeters. A pizza roller because it's easier to cut my dough later. A nice colander. And then of course the pasta machine. This is very basic as you can get. No doodad attachment because I don't need to spend that kind of money, like $75 or whatever that is these days. So I've had this for probably 30 years and I just use it when I want to use it. Very basic because the most you can use out of here is probably the fettuccine because it's the easiest. It's the easiest meals to make with. It's just easy to do. With this, you can have an attachment that anchors to your counter. I have a piece of wood here. The wood goes underneath here, your counter, so it saves the damage you might do on the counter when you put this clamp on it. So that's a bit of a trick to remember. So that's that, I believe. Ingredient wise, as easy as this. Salt, 3 large eggs. Now in the winter they say chickens lay smaller eggs, so you may want to add a bit of water like some recipes do. I don't add raw water to my dough at all, but if the eggs are small you may want to add a couple tablespoons to make up for that smaller size. Because 4 eggs is too much for me. I just don't want to do 4 eggs, it's too much pasta. My recipe makes about 5 portions. Nice medium portions, not pig-sized portions. If you're a big eater, maybe you'll have smaller portions, larger portions, but to me 5 is just right. Flour, okay, it's durum semolina. It's durum wheat, that's what this is. Great for pasta because it's high gluten, good food value. That's why I buy it also, because it's high protein food value. You're going to find this at the specialty store for sure. I go to the city for my store that I go to all the time, my supply store. You may find it in the market. The South Asian stores, I've seen it there. And of course the Italian stores, if they're a good store, they better have this because they're making pasta. So durum wheat actually is grown in Canada for the most part, a lot of it. And we ship it to Italy and it comes back as pasta. A little bit of trivia. So let's get this thing going. I'm gonna turn the video off for a sec. Okay, I'm back and I'm set up here. So let's measure our flour here. 2 cups of flour. And again, I'm not super accurate because I'm only making pasta. I'm not making cake like I was saying in the last video. So like that. Open leftover from last time. Okay. And again, you can have some spare for the end. One second, I'll get some music back on here. Okay. So, 1 teaspoon salt. About that. Don't forget the salt because it's important. Got a whisk. My last video, I forgot what it was called. It escaped me. Don't know why. It was funny. A little bit of a mix. Don't need any more. So, make a well in the center, as they always say. You can do it on the counter too, but I find that too messy. I'd rather do it in a bowl. One. Cracking eggs. When you crack it on a sharp edge, it does a sharp crack. If you do it on a round edge, it breaks it up better, and it just opens nicely. So it's not having a sharp edge that cracks the egg. Just a little hint. I could do the one hand thing, but I don't feel like it. So there we go. Now with a fork, just beat this really, really well. Very, very easy. I dry my hands a little here. So this is beating really well in the center, and then I start drawing in the dry flour from the side. Slowly draw it in. You can see this. Cut it in a few times. That's what I'm doing here. I cut it in. And mix it really well. Cut in, fold, however you want to do it. It's kind of a loose mix, and that's how I want to keep it that way. As in the pie dough, I squashed it in, but you don't want to do that yet. This is the part where you have to use your own judgment when you get more experience. How wet is this dough? It's not dry by any means. It's still a little crumbly and kind of really soft and not thoroughly mixed. You can feel it with your hand, with your fork, that it's still kind of wet-ish. Here, I think I could use some more flour, probably. Just a little more, not too much. So about that, the trick about the flour addition is that you don't want to add too much, because if you add too much, this flour will absorb a lot of the egg, and then it gets kind of dry and crumbly. And you try to make a dough, you have a dough, but when you roll it out, it cracks, and that's the reason why you've had problems before. Why it cracks out like that? It's because you've had a little too much flour, and it has absorbed too much moisture, and it's really hard to roll. Now, if you do get that, don't say, hey, crap, I'm going to ditch this piece of crap. No, you can resuscitate it. Just get your dough, which is formed already. If it's too dry, but it's still a hard dough-ish. You got to cut it up really a lot with your knife, a good sharp knife. Cut it up. Add maybe a quarter cup, not even a quarter cup of water into it. Use your hand. Squish it, squish it, squish it. Bring it back to a dough so it's soft again. That's how you redo the dough if you've gone too far with the flour part of it. Otherwise, yeah, it's a big mess. So that's why it's better to go under addition of flour rather than over adding flour. So here, it's kind of really kind of solid. What would you call this? I don't know. Don't know what you call this. Cauliflower looking. Haha, cauliflower looking. It's kind of soft, but not too soft. This is where I'm going to eyeball. I think it looks a little bit wet to me. I got to be really careful myself because I don't wreck this myself. And it's firming up already because it's absorbing. I can feel in the fork that it's really absorbed. And like a pie dough in a way. Look at that. It kind of comes together. So this is the point where I'm not going to add in more flour because, like I said, it's just going to get wrecked. Now again, about the flour and the water part, the egg part, is that if the dough is too soft, the opposite problem is that it'll be a soft dough And then we start rolling it, it's gonna get sticky, and it's gonna be, oh, this is so hard to do, because it's kind of too soft in a way. And when it is too soft, you're gonna put it in the machine, and when you roll it, it gets stuck in the machine because it's too soft. So that's the other side of not having having too much moisture. So here it is. I'm gonna use one hand. Really knead it with one hand. Get rid of the scale. It's kind of sticking in my hand. I can actually feel it. So clean the bowl like that. I'm going to start adding a little more flour at a time. And then squish it in my hand. Squish and fold over. Use a heel and fold over. It's like a normal dough on the counter. It's tricky in here. I'm just going to spin it around as I fold and knead. This is a glass bowl. I don't know whether it's going to break on me one day. I hope not. But this is all I got to do is just squish it in until you feel this firm dough. It's a very firm dough actually. I keep on going, press hard. And I can tell it's still soft-ish. And I'll show you in a little bit when it gets better. I can add a little more, I think. This is where experience comes in a little into play, because you're going to know when you want to stop. So I'm going to keep on pressing. Keep on going like this until I get it all. Okay. So now, it's not a really dry finished dough yet, because you can see all the flour on there, but it's enough to get it on the counter. Now on the counter, now you do want to do like a regular bread dough. Fold really well and push hard. One hand's all messy, but you can scrape it off very easy, because it's semi-dry, but not completely dry. Don't waste all this, because you don't want to waste it. Clean the table like that, pick it up. So, use your core. This is exercise, use your core and drive yourself into it. It's not just the hands pushing, that's really hard. But, oh, I'm so tired. Because you're not using your body. Use your body into it. If you ever make rye bread, this is the same thing. All those Russian ladies with big arms, this is what it takes to make rye bread actually. If you make pure rye bread, that is. With pure rye bread, you have this hard dough, then you add molasses to it. It's a lot of work. I've done it. It's a lot of work. Those Russian ladies have big arms because they're mixing a lot of molasses into their dough. So I'm going to really press and roll. It's barely tactile, I guess you call it, on the dough, but I can see it's still kind of soft. So I'm going to get some more flour in here. This is the tricky part. Is how much do you want to do? So I'm going to pick it up, fold it in, really make it blend in. You're going to keep on doing this until it's all smooth again. This is what it takes. This is becoming a really firm dough now. I can really feel it being really firm. So I got to be careful I don't use too much. Shoulders up means you're tense. Shoulders down means you use your core. So just remember that. There's also fitness in making dough. So I always keep my shoulders down and using my core, the energy of my body and my arm together. So this is the fun part of it, kind of. I'm actually squishing with my hands as I fold over. and roll and knead. The more you knead, the better it is because you're actually developing that gluten. I will not knead that for sure. This is kind of like, I would say, a plasticine. Oh, whatever you call it these days. Some new stuff out there. But it's not quite, no, it's softer than plasticine. Yeah, I would say softer, like, but way more firmer than silly putty. If you remember what silly putty is. You could call this maybe a slightly softer lump of clay. So I'm going to keep on doing this. Now, it's actually dry-ish, so I gotta be careful that I might have overdone it. It feels okay and soft, but it doesn't stick at all, which is pretty nice. That's exactly what you want it. So I'm gonna keep on turning, whatever. So this is about it. I'm almost there, really. The more you do this, better it is. If it's too dry, then it doesn't close up. So I know I'm at the point where it's actually not bad, because when I need it, the cracks will still disappear. Maybe a little dry. Well, I'll find out later if I have problems. So there we go. It's actually not sticky at all. Smells really good. If you like the smell of pasta, that is. It smells like pasta. So as I roll to this long stage, I'm rolling in, roll my fingers out. So this is the motion that causes it to spread and lengthen the dough. So as you roll out, you're pushing out with your fingers. Like a ring there. So rolling out this way. So there we go. I have a feeling it's going to be a little dry, but then that's my problem. We shall see later how it's going to roll. So this is going to be a 10 inches maybe, whatever that is. It's definitely not 15 centimeters, whatever that is, that long, that wide. Because I'm going to divide this up. So let that rest a little. Normally I let this rest. I go set up the pasta and rolling machine. So we need a knife. We're going to divide this into sections. 4 actually. Yeah, I keep on saying I think it's going to be dry. But as I say, dull side first, just to mark it where you think it's 4 pieces. Let's go half down to there. Don't cut hard on your marble because you don't wreck your knife. Very soft. There, there. Try that kind of even weight, hopefully. There we go. Back to there. Trick about a knife block. Something to learn. This is the cutting edge. This is the hard edge. Drop it in this way so you don't wreck the blade on this metal, as some have them there. So always go top side down. Never do it this way because you're actually wrecking those blades. Oh, that's harsh. Drop it in just like that. So next thing, let's do about cleaning up here. This is dry, I can use it again. Okay. Don't need that anymore. Don't need that anymore. Salt can go away. No, we do need salt for later. Gone. So let that rest for a bit. You're going to get your water ready to roll, and then you're going to set up your plastic rolling machine. So let's see what we do next. Right. Okay, one sec. So I've just cleaned up a little bit, brought the table over so you can see what's happening here. This is just a tea towel. We're going to lay the pasta on. So I have two sheets because I need the second one over here later on. So I'll start like that first. Here's your first, I divided 4 pieces. First one, squish it down. This dough is actually not sticky at all, but it's very pliable. A little rest is nice for it. It really does kind of need a rest. Here's your dowel. This is just a bamboo rolling pin. Kind of a specialty thing, I guess. I found is at the Chinese market, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere else. Maybe a dowel like this. It's about, like I say, a foot per centimeter. Maybe it's 2 centimeters thick. Just a nice little dowel. The large one is just too big. So you're just gonna roll it. Let's see, you can still see. Draw forward, draw that way. This just starts it off before I put it in the machine because it's easier to have it flat before you put it into the machine. That's why I do this. And also, I'm gonna squash the ends slightly this way and square it off because you're forcing the dough into a square because I want square sheets. A square kind of a squarish sheet, a long sheet with corners. So that's all it takes. Just a little bit of rolling starts it off. I want the corners. If it sticks a little, use the dough to clean the table because it's just dough. So that's that. Over here, it's not setting 1, obviously. Maybe not obvious, but it is 1. It's a 1 to 7. So I generally do only up to 6 because I find the 7 is too fine for what I do. I like my fettuccinis at about level number 6. So let's do the first one. One hand to feed. Nice and slow. Maybe do a couple of times. Every now and then you're going to use this finger, wipe this cutting roller here on the bottom edge. You'll know what I mean once you have one of these. Just wipe off the edge because it gets a built up of flour sometimes and then it'll break up the dough as you roll. So every now and then I'll clean the bottom. This is now number 2. I roll it's dowel to number 2. Not bad there. So I'm going to spin to 3 next, but after I cut this up. So this is going to be cut into 4 pieces. I'm just going to roll it slightly just to smooth it out. This is where the pizza roll is kind of handy. You can have a knife, do a knife I guess, but don't wreck the knife in the marble and don't wreck the marble with your knife. So pizza roll is nice. Right there, 4 equal pieces. This is a round edge, so I know I'll give this one a little more dough because just the way it is. So in the end, you're going to have 16 piles of dough in the end. So let's just do the first one. So we were on 2, now we're on 3. That's what's there on 4. And then on 5. Nice and slowly, maybe on this 5. Because it's got a round edge, like that, around. So I'm going to do, when I insert it in the machine, I'm going to fold it slightly like that. So it squares off because I want a nice rectangle, even length of pasta. Otherwise you have skinny, short, skinny, short. So this is my little thing. I like to have nice, even pasta. Well, I'm still number 5, so I'm redoing number 5 with a bit of fold. Just do that again. Maybe a couple of times just to get it nice. So on number 6 is your last roll. So if you see me roll it like this first, towards the end I flip it over because I want to catch it down here. So if this dough was too so wet, it would get stuck in here, and that's a really hard thing to do. And you'd be swearing away because it's so hard to roll, and it's going to sort of cut later too. So this dough isn't too bad. I can feel it. It's kind of cool to the touch, not really sticky, and it just smells really good. So I'll do one more and then I'll cut the video in a sec. The second one is already rectangular, so I'll do this way first. No, sorry, I'm going to do it the length this way into the machine because I'm going to want them, as you roll it's going to stretch longer and longer and longer. This way it gets too long in the machine and then your pasta's too long. I don't like long pasta because if you do it wider you get more pasta versus skinny long ones. So I prefer going rectangular this way. Remember, after every roll, bring it back down to 1 because I'm sure you're going to make a mistake at some point in time. So I didn't do it this time. I make a habit of going back to 1 after your last roll. Once, twice. This is pretty quick. This should be number 3. Sorry, that should be 3, 4. Let's go 5. That's still 4, so that's still 4. Now I'm on 5. That's 5. It's still kind of squarish. That's good. Now I'm going to go 6. Slowly on 6. Then I'm going to wipe it down a little with my hand, like I said. Wipe it down here with the fingers. Because it's a little soft. I can feel the dough building up. So I'll do it again. So there we go. Not super long pasta, but I like just the length of that. That was kind of screwy, so I'm going to do one more of this, like this. Bring it back down to 3, because you're already set at 2 already here. Remember, when we started, we had it 2. So you always start on 3 here, because that's the next number. There we go. That's 3, 4, and 5. That's 5, and do a slight wipe on the bottom. I just did that wipe thing. Here's number 6. I'll do this twice. You see it flip over, catch the bottom like that. Palms up and catch the dough down, because if it builds it down here it might stick or whatever. So just because. Okay, so I'm going to cut the video and then finish off the rest. Okay, so here I am back. I've done all the sheets now. There are 16 sheets because remember there's 16 pieces of dough. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The reason is I'm going to make 5 portions, and each 3 is about a portion, so it works out pretty nice, and with 1 to spare. So if your dough is kind of soft-ish, you think, so what you can do is turn it over so it dries the other side. Right now the air drying, it feels pretty nice, but if you feel your dough is a little bit on the softer side, turn it over. Turn them all over as you go. It feels really nice. It just smells so good, and it feels cool to the touch. It feels really neat, like a damp towel. That's what it feels actually. Okay, so now we're going to cutting. I started the water boiling already, so I'm going to put it back, bring it down. Usually by the time I do all this, I'm ready to go. But because I'm filming, it's a little more time consuming. So here I am on the fettuccine side. So I start with the first one first, because I went across this way as I placed the dough. So here, there could be a sticky side and a drier side. I put the sticky side down on the straighter edge side first, because it sticks like that a little bit. I press slightly and I draw it in. But I also want to keep this edge along this edge so that you have sheets that aren't wasted in the middle, because you have funny shapes and they get all funny cuts in the bottom. So to be efficient, I have on one edge, that way I'm not going to waste past on the end. I'm pressing slightly here, draw slowly. It'll pull itself in, and then I pick it up and let it feed on its own. Halfway through or so, I'll pick it up with my hands like this. The pastas across here, like a cutting hair, and it lands on your hand, just like you're cutting hair. Sprinkle it on here, nice and light, loosen it up, and there you go. That's the first one. Same thing here. I'll do it like that. Press a little bit, feed it in as I go. I can do a slight pull on this if I want to keep it straight, but don't pull hard, because you just want to feed it lightly over here, draw it over. I'll drop the handle down because that's the safe way. Otherwise, if it's up here, you get caught into it or whatever. Finish it by dropping it on a vertical that way. That's 2 on that pile. Again, 3 here. Press slightly. It'll pick up. Stretch a little. If your dough is a little wet and you don't do this, all piles down there, it gets all sticky inside. So that's a real pain. And it's like, okay, you just messed up your dough. It's kind of too bad if you get to that point. So like I said, this dough, like I said, if you get it nice like this, it's like amazing. It doesn't stick. There's just enough dryness that they don't stick together. So that's why I can keep in piles. At the end of this, I'm going to have 5 piles with 1 to spare. So I'll do 1 more and then I'll cut the video. So I like this edge. Follow one edge, like I said. Press in. Once there. Sprinkle. There. It goes pretty fast once you get going here. It's 2. I'll do a ski one. Maybe I'll just do the whole thing. Feed it in. It's 2.